I am Marcelo Alberto Jr.
I am Karen Faith Ipanto Pantinople.
I am Cindy Rose A. Bajo. I am Aulea Princess Villalbito. And we are the
So good day, students. I know these past few months has been hard for us, but I would like to give all of you a virtual pat on the shoulder because you've made it this far. You are still holding on and fighting for your dreams. So, patuloy lang ang laban. So, with that said, our topic for today to discuss is Module 7, which is social, ethical, and legal responsibilities in the use of technology tools and resources. We have 2 lessons. The first lesson is Lesson 3, Intellectual Property Rights on the Development and Use of Digital Materials. And we have Lesson 4, which is Media and Information Literacy. So, here are our learning objectives. So at the end of this lesson, you, the learners or the students, should be able to identify examples of intellectual property rights in education setting. The next one will be you can cite consequences when copyright laws were violated. Next one is define what is media and information literacy. The last one for the learning objective is discuss and value the importance of media information literacy. So, here are the 10 difficult terms. So, first one, are you still with me, students? So, the first one is airwaves. So, what is airwaves? Airwaves are the radio frequencies used for broadcasting. The second one is biases. Biases are beliefs that are not founded by known facts about someone or about a particular group of individuals. For example, one common bias is that women are weak. So that is one common example, despite many being very strong. So that's one example of biases. Next one is copyright infringements. It is to plan or invent a complex procedure, system, or mechanism by careful thought. The fourth is device. To plan or invent a complex procedure, system, or mechanism by careful thought. So next is intangible. Intangible is unable to be touched or grasped or not having physical presence. Next one will be logical. A logical is characterized by or capable of clear, sound reasoning. The seventh is media. Media are the communication outlets or tools to store and deliver information or data. The term refers to components of the mass media communication industry such as print media, publishing, the news media, photography, cinema, broadcasting, digital media, and advertising. The next one will be media convergence. Refers to the merging of previously distinct media technologies and platforms through digitization and computer networking. Merging of different types of media such as traditional media, print media, broadcast media, new media, and the internet, as well as portable and highly interactive technologies through digital media platforms. Next would be monetary. Monetary is relating to money or currency. The last one, I believe it is the last one, it is patent. It is a type of intellectual property that is that gives its owners the legal right to exclude from making, using, or selling an invention for a limited period of time in exchange for publishing and enabling disclosure of the invention.
So for our introduction, the roles and responsibilities of the global digital citizen are many and diverse. As a future educator, in this modern time, it is a must to practice innovation in teaching and learning in order to become a globally effective and globally competent digital teacher.
We will be going to discuss under the Module 7, which is the Lesson 3 entitled Intellectual Property Rights and the Development and the Use of Digital Materials. So first, let's define what is intellectual property. Intellectual property, it is an area of protecting rights. It is intangible creations of the human intellect, which are the inventions, literary and artistic works, designs, symbols, names, and lastly, the images. So it covers everything from original works, and it is creation of mind used especially in commerce. So when we say that intellectual properties is protected in law by copyright, patents, and trademarks, which enable people to earn recognition or financial benefit from what they have created or invent, the intellectual property system that aims to foster an environment in which creativity and innovation can flourish. So there are three main mechanisms for protecting intellectual property, namely the copyright, patent, and trademarks. So first, let us define what is copyright. So copyright, it works covered by copyright range from either books, music, paintings, sculpture, films, computer program, advertisements, map, and technical drawings. So what does copyright protects? It provides protection for original works of authorship. It does not protect ideas. It protects how ideas are expressed. Protected works for e-learning practitioners includes literary, musical, and dramatic works, software, and other intellectual works. So copyright protects the way in which something is expressed. So, for example, if you wrote a new computer program to perform a function, the software code would be protected by copyright. Someone else could then write their own computer program to perform the same function. They would not infringe your copyright unless they copied the software code of your computer program. So, second is patent. It is a Philippine legislature passed Act number 2235. It is a process that provides way of doing, exclusive right granted for an invention, offers new technical solution to problem, gives its owner the legal right, selling an invention for a limited period. So patent, it is a technical information about invention and it must be described to the public in a patent application. So patent, it is a principle that the patent owner has the exclusive right to stop or prevent from others commercially exploiting the patented inventions. So in other words, patent protection means that the inventions or the invented cannot be commercially made use, distributed, imported, or sold by others without the patent owner's consent. Patents are territorial rights. So, example of manufactured article protected by a patent design is a design of for the sole of running shoes. So how do you know if that product is a patent? So in Philippines, the Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines set 3 conditions for an invention to be deemed patentable. So first, it must be new. Second, it must involve inventive step. And lastly, it must be industrially applicable. Trademark. What is a trademark? It is one enterprise from those other enterprises. It is a symbol, word, or words legally registered. It identifies services that are called service marks. Emerged in the late 19th century. It is designed of being capable of distinguish the goods. Established by use as representing company. So, trademark is a combination of the words, letters, and numbers that can perfectly constitute a trademark. But also, trademark may consist symbols, drawings, 3-dimensional features such as shapes and packaging of goods. So, trademark is a unique words or symbols that used to represent the company or its products. So, example of trademark, the golden arches of McDonald's is an example of a design that is a registered trademark. And another example is the Nike logo with a swoosh is a combination of design and word that is a registered trademark. The copyright infringement versus plagiarism. Copyright infringement, it is a legal term, which means it is a violation or an unauthorized act. Copyright infringement usually occurs when there is any violation of any of the exclusive economic or moral rights granted to the copyright owner. Well, plagiarism is not a legal term, which, however, it is usually often used in lawsuit. And plagiarism is actually considered as an unethical act, an unethical person, but not a crime by itself. Copyright infringement is a civil crime, while plagiarism is academic crime. And it is an unauthorized work of someone else's creative work, while plagiarism is claiming or appearing to claim ownership of someone else's creative work. And lastly, copyright infringement is monetary damages for infringement, while plagiarism is not punishable by the government but maybe by academic sanction. So there is a difference between copyright infringement and plagiarism. So copyright infringement, it is illegal to copy large sections of someone else's work, someone else's copyrighted work without permission, even if you give the original credit author. While plagiarism, it is representing someone else's work or ideas as your own, with or without permission, with or without their consent, by creating it in your own without full acknowledgement.
The pros and cons of intellectual property rights. The pros are numerous benefits to patenting your intellectual property. Copyrights, patents, trademarks, all provides important incentives. Like sa copyrights kanang it gives credit where credit is due. So sa copyrights mas secure jud nga kuan kay naa siya sa gibutang ang iyang author or mga authorship. And then sa patents is it gives it incentives to patents is it gives its owner for the legal rights, and it can be selling an invention for limited time only, or mga ingana nga kuan sa trademarks. Kung when we say trademarks, ay makita am na to sa kasagaran sa mga businesses, no, like ingana pananglitan sa trademarks ron kanang mo gamit ka og franchise or mga representing company nga ganahan mo kuan sa imuha kanang silbi mo gamit sa imong trademarks nga mao sa ibaligya. So dako kay siyang advantage. And IP rights also fosters innovations and inventions because they encourage individuals to come up with new ideas. Sa kani nga kuan mangita mugawas mi ng creativity para makakuan sa kuan nga property rights. So sa cons, obtaining a patent, registering a trademarks, maintaining those protections can be expensive. So costly man dyan siya kung magkuan sa intellectual property rights kay mobayad pa ta sa abogados, mga fees, ingana di ra gyud sa abogado like sa matag pa ta sa fees sa mga registration. And the next slide is what is a copyright law? Copyright law, it protects creators of original materials from unauthorized duplication. So mao dyan akong istorya kaniya sa copyright. Muatag din na siya sa authorization sa kung kinsa gahimo sa like sa mga journals. And the Law Republic Act number 8293, an act prescribing the Intellectual Property Code and establishing the Intellectual Property Office, providing for its powers and functions and for other purposes, also known as the Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines. And under the Philippines law, copyright infringement is punishable by the following. And the first offense is imprisonment of between 1 to 3 years and a fine between 50,000 to 150,000 pesos. And the second offense is imprisonment of 3 years and 1 day to 6 years, plus a fine of between 150,000 to 500,000 pesos. And the third offense is 6 years and 1 day to 9 years, a fine ranging from 500,000 to 1.5 million. So makita rin nato dyan no, nga dagko kayo og balik-balik ko na tong sala, dagko kayo og mga fine like sa maabot na ka third offense, abot na 1.5 nya sam gamita ka ng kwarta kung sigil lang kagka kuan, sigil lang kakasakpan sa atong balaod nya. Makita rin nato dira ang sentence sa kaning imong pagka preso, kay di rin siya kanang bugat lahi sa kanang pananglitan sa murderon, maabot man og mga 20 years ang murder kung naay reclusion perpetua ingana. So sa nga ning copyright law, ako ra tong example kanina kay ginaro kay differentiate kung asa yung mas kuan, mas less siya og mga sentence sa imong pagka preso pero dako siya og multa.
And now we are moving on to lesson 4, which is entitled Media and Information Literacy. So, what is media and information literacy? It is the ability to decode, analyze, evaluate, and produce communication in variety of forms. That is according to UNESCO ML Media Literacy Curriculum for Teachers. So the next one would be from print to videos from the internet. So it also provides framework to access, analyze, evaluate, and create messages. It also helps us, all of us, become skillful creators and producers of information and media messages in their own right. The next one would be to evaluate it critically and organize it once it is found. It teaches us on how to evaluate critically and organize it once it is found. So the next slide would be, here are the fundamental elements of media and information literacy. So the first one is an awareness of the impact of media. So we are aware naman, di ba, kanang sa impact sa media or the internet sa atong kinabuhi. the past we implemented face-to-face mode of learning, but now we are implementing online learning system due to the COVID-19. So it really, like, the transition between face-to-face and online learning. So media had a really important role in making that happen. So the next one would be strategies for analyzing media messages. Next would be the ability to enjoy, understand, and appreciate media content. Since we should understand, no, despite of kanang dili kaganahan guro ana nga topic, we should understand and appreciate bisag di kaganahan, because we have different opinions on a certain topic. We should respect each other. Kay that is one of fundamental para importante mo na siya nato tanan. So, an understanding of moral and ethical and moral obligation for media users. So as media users or internet users, we should have our limitations. We should have like kabaw jud taon sa paggamit ang media in order for us to avoid problems in the future, such as kanina gi-discuss, which is copyright, which is very, very popular, or I say very daghan jud na siya nga issues, murag mo na siya pinaka-uso nga issue sa gamit sa media information. Next one would be development of appropriate and effective production skills. The last one would be critical thinking skills, enabling the development of independent judgment about media content. So, one of the fundamentals of media information literacy, it is helps us with our critical thinking skills para makahimo ta og independent judgments. If what are doing is right ba siya in that particular situation, bakatabang ba na siya nato. So it is really, so remember this class because you will also use this in the future, or maybe tomorrow, or maybe now.
So before I start my report, may I ask a question, class? So what is the exact definition of media? So media refers to the various means of communication, and also media is also used as communication outlets or tools to store, deliver, and disseminate information or data. Also, media describes the various ways through which we communicate. So there are several words that connects or related to media. It could be publishing, newspapers, TV, radio, cable, and so on. So there are different types of media. The first one is a print media, the second one is the broadcast media, and the third one is the new media. So print media, it consists of paper and ink reproduced in a printing process that is traditionally mechanical. So what are some examples of print media? It could be newspapers, books, magazines, and journals. So, sa akong namatikdan, gamay na lang ang hilig nga mubasa og newspapers. Why? Because of internet. Mas accessible naman good pod ang internet kaysa sa newspapers. Kay naalay mas mo prefer nga sa internet kay mas dali, while naaman po'y uban na mas ganahan pod nga mubasa sa newspapers, like ato ang mga mama, papa, lolo, o lola. So the next one is broadcast media. So media such as radio and television that reach the target audiences using airwaves as the transmission medium. So broadcast media also involves electronically and simultaneously containing signals, audio or video content to a vast group of recipients using televisions and radio. So the most common example of broadcast media is TV and radio. So what are the TV stations nga nakuan sa TV, like GMA, ABS-CBN, TV5, while sa radio, what are the some radio stations na ato ang ginapaminaw? So it could be MOR, DCWB, and ug uban pa. So, the next one is new media. So, new media, content organized and distributed on digital platforms. So, new media is also called as digital media are consumed with cell phones, laptops, computers, and tablets, and they often contain the same information as the traditional media, although it may be delivered in a different styles. So the next one is media convergence. So media convergence means the coexistence of traditional and new media. The coexistence of print media, broadcast media, radio and television, the internet, mobile phones, as well as others, allowing media content to flow across various platforms. It is also the ability to transform different kinds of media into digital code, which is then accessible by a range of devices, thus creating a digital communication environment. So, media convergence happened in different ways. Like for our first example, which is in communication, like social media. We communicate social media through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or any other platforms nga dili na ta kinahanglan nga mo-meet pa ng persona para makapag-istorya. So, we often send a log message in ana. Second one is media convergence also happens in education. For example, the learning management system, the Google Class, Edmodo, Google Meet, or Zoom, nga ato aging ginagamit like pareha karon nga online class. Like for college students, we often engage the online class setting for the new learning system kay mas accessible sad siya and more siya. So the next one is in news. Also, news happens in media convergence. News agency, a newspaper that still publishes through print and have online portal, website, apps, and others with multimedia content. So, for example, ang kaning Banat News. So, ato man jung makuan nga kaning Banat News, di ba kasagaran to makita sa newspaper ra. But for now, nga sa ilahang na matikdan nga people are now kanang access na kaayo sa social media and so on. So, naghimo na sila og mga website nga ma-access sa tao with the use of internet. Next one is entertainment. So, media convergence also happens in entertainment. So, multimedia personality. A person who has a television show, publishes books, launches music record, endorses commercial products, the Beatles product line, has a digital multimedia game, concerts, and etc. And the last one, media convergence also happens in advertisement or commercial, like product advertisement nga itong makita sa TV o gato pong madungog sa radyo.
So, what is critical thinking? So, critical thinking, it is the analysis of available facts, evidence, observations, and arguments to form a judgment. So, it is also core academic skill that teaches undergraduate and postgraduate students to question or reflect their own knowledge and information presented to them. It is this skill is essential for students working on assignments and performing research. It is also an invaluable skill in many workplace scenarios. It is critical thinking. It is a skill that allows you to make logical and informed decision to the best of your ability. So one example is an attorney reviews evidence and devises a strategy to win a case or decide whether to settle out of court. So just like broadcasting companies, let's say CNN. So dili po na siya mo pataka o release of information. All of assigned to release that particular news, they are using critical thinking. So di ko na sila mo pataka o release og mga news or information without being fact-checked, no? Fact-check. Dapat it is reliable, John. Dapat kanang makatuuhan dyan ilang mga source or para dili sila maka-avoid sila og mga certain problems in the future. Worse, di ba? Kanang masud sila sa court, makabayad pa sila. So, everything siguro sa situations nga atong giagian, critical thinking is there. Critical thinking must be used. Such as ang present theory ganinya, ang students in making their assignments and researches, they are using critical thinking. Ay kung ingna, if that certain question is asked, mo answer kag lain nga question, di ba? So you use critical thinking to decide if that answer of yours is right for that particular question. If that research of yours is relevant to that area. If, for example, you're in a, what do you call that? You're in a school. So, conduct di kag research nga about sa kanang pangisda. Conduct di kag research nga about sa kuan. Irrelevant, di ba? So, we use critical thinking, Jod, para siguro mas successful ang atong mas successful atong gipangbuhat sa life. Kanang i-apply dyan nato ang critical thinking for what do you call that? Di lang kita yung maka-benefit, but also our society. So, the next slide would be, here are some helpful tips on how to improve your critical thinking skills. So, the first one would be, knowing exactly what you want is the first step of critical thinking. As I've said earlier, if that particular research is relevant to that particular area, so dapat yun na siya, you must pinpoint on what particular topic you should do a research on, or anything on what particular topic are you going to focus on para na kay murag idea on what to do. So the next thing would be deal with your biases. Then the next one is consider the consequences of your options. The next one would be, do your research. Dapat akong ingon kanina, you must have fact check before releasing something. Because, as I've said kanina, na to avoid problems, do research. Do not just copy and paste. So, dapat you're going to do different research. I don't know how you're going to do it, but dapat i-fact check nato siya before releasing it, because lisod po, di ba? Maka-release tag false information, then you're going to be mapasanginlan ka nga you're the one responsible, then your image will be ruined. Then the next one bit is accept the fact that you're not always right. So accept the fact that you're not always right. There are things that you're wrong at, so you must accept it and learn from it in order for you to become a better version of you. So, the last one is don't overcomplicate things. Do not overcomplicate things. Such as, kanibutang nato ron nga, kanang activity na siya, mayroon ka nga, hala, kalisuda ani, oy, then, magdo kag research, ay, sayo naman, diba? You're overcomplicating things. You're overthinking na lisod siya, then, pag-search mo, ani ra siya. So, don't do that. Kay, more na siya kanang, you're, like, putting yourself in that particular area that you can, more na siya, kanang you're saying na, and you can't do this, diba? Don't overcomplicate, kay, as my teacher said in the 9th grade, that struggles, challenges, they're only temporary. Means, di siya magdugay. Naa siya solutions. So, always fight jud sa kanang imuhang what you believe is right, and also accept that you're not always right then.
So for the conclusion for this report, in using technology tools, we must follow certain rules. There is no denying that technology tools such as the internet and media help us communicate and learn easily with just one click or tap. It helped us become a more flexible individual and develop our critical thinking. We must know our limitations to avoid series of problems. Just abide with the rules and do what is just. This report is all about what should be done with technology tools and use it in a wise way. Before we end our report, we will leave a quote by Tim Berners-Lee saying, "There was a time when people felt the internet was another world, but now people realize it's a tool that we use in this world." So sa kaniadto, ato apang ngonohon na nga ang kani siyang internet is just a waste of time for entertainment purposes ra jud, but as years go by diha na nato na realize unsa ang impact ani niya sa tuang nasod, unsay impact niya sa atong kalibutan. So as a 21st century learner, internet may have its disadvantages, but also it has more benefits to us. Like in education and for work purposes, it makes our lives much more easier. So that ends our report. I hope you learned something new, and thank you for lending your time on us. Godspeed and stay safe.